To begin with the Authority newspaper, and it's leading with a story from Plateau State. It says Plateau poll crisis, address case of sacked lawmakers. Governor Muftuang speaking there with the riders. They were unjustly removed, says Supreme Court as INEC plans rearing polls. Other stories there. Nigeria, 9,734 persons killed, 4,067 abducted in 2023. That's according to a report. The Daily Times, Shetima tasked African leaders on poor GDP. And the bold one, the federal government slaps Emefiele with 14 more charges. Ex-CBN governor gets leave to travel. Leadership Friday has the leading story on the governorship appeals. It says it's judgment day for Sule Fubara Oborowori. Supreme Court decides 13 cases from 6 states, including Ogun, Taraba, Onizikam in Nasarawa, Rivers, Delta, Gombe. And then other stories, African Super Eagles bounce back, beat Cote d'Ivoire 1-0. The Nigerian pilot, EFCC chairman, laments why you have the riders there. He says craze for gratification, quest for bribe by EFCC's investigators embarrassing. Cautions perpetrators to discontinue such immoral acts or face severe sanctions, as he urges commission staff to be steadfast, committed to clarion call to fight corruption. It's not sacrosanct. Nigeria must be one country. Agbakoba speaking there on page 8. Okay, this Nigeria is up next. Complete critical projects in FCT before May 29, Wiki tells contractors on page 7 of the paper. Then Army uncovers 14 reservoirs of 3 million liters of stolen crude oil in Rivers Forest. That's on page 10 of the paper. The Nigerian Express, a federal government says marine blue economy key to achieving $1 trillion economy. You may want to pick up the paper and read up the details. Alleged procurement fraud, fresh trouble for Emefiele. The paper says EFCC files 20 amended charges against him. The Daily Sun, 9 killed. Houses burnt in Benue, rival militia gangs clash. That's not a good one there. You have details on page 9. Reps blow hot. Over 75 billion naira COVID-19 funds. Ask ministry to refund amount. Raise issues over 10 billion naira undeclared money. Let's look at the daily assets next. The leading story here is police rescue Abuja resident after gun battle with kidnappers. Arrest 28-year-old kidnapper, 3 escape. Officers recover vehicle, pistols, ammunition. Nasarawa in somber mood as Supreme Court delivers governorship judgment today. Ogun, Kebbi, Gombe, Delta, no fate as well, the paper says. Let's check the People's Daily. Fresh troubles for Emefiele as federal government amends charges. And then reps ask the Ministry of Industries to refund 75 billion naira COVID-19 funds. You have the details on page 5. And then other details, justice sector to drive economic growth under Tinubu. That's credited to the AGF. The Nigerian News Direct, troops rescue 9 kidnapped victims in Benue. Cherry News there on page 2. And then the bold one, Nigeria's non-oil shell resilience hit over 6.5 million metric tons as pro-shipment inspection agents reveal Nigeria's top 20 exported products in 2023. That's some big news there, a good one for Nigeria. You have the Nigerian Tribune up next. EFCC files 20-count amended charge against Emefiele. Court permits ex-CBN chief to travel outside FCT. On page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune, the Supreme Court to deliver a judgment in 13 governorship cases today. Olukoyede, EFCC investigators taking bribes, compromising corruption fight. That's what the EFCC chairman says on page 2 of the New Telegraph. 2024, federal government to spend 1.6 trillion naira on electricity subsidy for consumers. That's on page 4. The Daily Trust, Army uncovers reservoirs with 3 million liters of crude oil in Rivers. And then you have dollar sells for 1,355 naira at black market. Official market closes at 902. Many industries may shut down. That's Professor Shekhar speaking there about that. Of course, you have the picture story also showing those illegal refineries there. You have The Guardian, food for education is the big story on pages 4 and 5 of the paper, and it says how poor planning, corruption ruin a 200 billion naira school feeding initiative in states. Of course, with graphical illustration as always with The Guardian, you have 20 million there, and then other figures as well as to how all of this happened. You have states, okay, we'll move on to the blueprints now. 1 killed, over 70 houses set ablaze in Kogi communal clash. Not good one there. Details on page 9 of the Blueprint newspaper. Alleged 1.2 billion naira procurement fraud with 20-count amended charge. Court stops Emefiele from traveling abroad. EFCC Council wants ex-CBN governor to write undertaking on page 6. There's also another interesting story there, just beneath the front page there. NIMC, NCC team up with security agencies to track kidnappers. 3 abductors to die by hanging in rivers. And then all the stories there and riders to that story. So let's get in our reviewers now for review of the headlines. Gentlemen, welcome once again. Okay, so where do we begin from? I don't know which one you want to start with, but there are stories that we think we should look at as well. Okay, let's begin with the Authority newspaper, your paper. You chose to lead with this, a play-to-poll crisis, address case of sacked lawmakers credited to the governor of Twang. Let's see why your paper chose to lead with this story.
Yes, thank you very much. I think today is Friday, and we have Supreme Court, giving its final judgment in the cases of 3 governors. I've got 3 states, Nasarawa, Delta, and of course Rivers State. But you see, why do we have black boxes in aircraft? When a plane crashes, you see air crash investigators, they scramble for the black box because the black box will tell them what happened. And the reason for this, or why medical doctors, mobile anatomists conduct autopsy on cadavers, on dead bodies, so that they know what killed the person and prevent, possibly prevent a recurrence. Because you see, if we don't know, if we do not interrogate what happened before, we won't be able to determine what's going to happen tomorrow. Because we saw what, exactly last week, exactly a week today, the Supreme Court delivered judgment in the case of several states, including Plateau. It came down, the Honorable Justice of the Supreme Court came down hard on their junior colleagues in the Court of Appeal. And we saw the brazen robbery, the brazen judicial robbery these guys at the Court of Appeal perpetrated in the case of Plateau State. And sadly, these same guys will someday get elevated to become Supreme Court justices. So if we do not address the Plateau matter, it will become a matter that will forever haunt us, because it's very clear from what happened, because even a layman, I'm not a lawyer, but even the layman knew that the Court of Appeal had no jurisdiction on that matter, knew that the tribunal had no jurisdiction on that matter, because it was clearly a pre-election matter, yet they dabbled into it. Apparently for certain pecuniary interests, or political interests, they did that. What are we saying? It is now very clear, too, that even though INEC, we spoke to the INEC people yesterday, and they were not able to distinguish between a rerun and by-election, because in the case of by-election, it's when a particular person has left or somebody's dead, so you now fill in a new candidate and then you run, you conduct, that's by-election. Like the case of Tunji Ojo, the current Minister of Interior. His seat became vacant because he resigned, and several others. Then Yobe too, the Minister of Agric, right? The Minister of Agric, he was in Senate, so he resigned. So by law, you must fill that position. But let's take the case of Plateau, for instance, because it's bad enough that people of Plateau those claiming to represent, those appointed by the Court of Appeal to represent the people of Plateau are not the persons the people of Plateau voted for. So you know what it means for somebody who's a usurper, who's a supplanter representing you and calling himself honorable member of the House or distinguished senator. Of course, there's nothing distinguishing about that. But let's come to INEC. Now, from the grapevine, we heard that a particular officer in INEC is insisting that the case of Plateau North, and I think Bassa, where the Court of Appeal, even as flawed as the Court of Appeal was, expressly declared that rerun should be held within 90 days. 90 days lapses on Sunday. On Sunday. But the excuse INEC is giving is that they have logistical challenges. So they're going to lump Plateau North Senatorial District election, rerun election, and that of Bassa with other elections on February 3rd. But that's not the issue. The issue is, who is this officer in INEC who is insisting, who is trying to reinterpret the judgment, because I saw the judgment of the Court of Appeal in the case of Plateau North Senatorial elections. The court said rerun, and all the candidates, all the parties that participated in the election should be allowed to run. But some officer in INEC is trying to reinterpret that section to be that a particular candidate of the PDP will not contest the election. Apparently because they know that, some weeks here we analyzed why APC is jittery in Plateau State, because if you conduct by-elections or rerun elections or whatever name you call it 100 times, PDP will still win, because it's a case of, there are several underlying layers, issues. But then we have to be very, very careful, because if it's bad enough that we see certain elements of, because from what the Supreme Court said last Friday, they came hard on Justice of their junior colleagues, Court of Appeal. They came really, really hard, because I think Justice Okoro said that, unfortunately, the wrong the appeal court judges did, cannot be remedied. And these guys in Court of Appeal are very lucky, because Plateau State is a state where people are law-abiding. If you try such a thing in states like Kogi, they won't allow you work free. That's the truth. Because you can't just because these people are worse than these kidnappers. These guys who are kidnapping people and putting guns to their head and killing them, these judges of the Court of Appeal, what they did is worse than that kidnapping, because what they did is mass kidnapping. They kidnapped millions of Nigerians under the guise of.
These are members of.
Sorry. So today we're talking about the court. Their colleagues. Their colleagues in the Supreme Court came down hard on them. I'm not a judge.
Okay,
I'm a journalist.
So some analysts
my job is to hold them accountable.
It may be judicial error as well, but you can't.
Imagine a case. Imagine a case where a lot of people have lost their livelihoods on account of it. A lot of people are going to go very broke because of this. Because we know how expensive elections are. People put in their best, got elected, and then from nowhere, because of certain factors, then you decide to turn the law on its head. Right. So today, the Supreme Court decides the fate of Governor Sule, whom we all expect the case to go. There's public expectation about what the Supreme Court has done, is doing and will do. Because we saw last week, largely the Supreme Court judgments, was largely applauded. We saw when these governors, those who won the elections, go to their states, we saw the kind of reception they received. And we expect the judges of the Supreme Court to do the same thing this morning, in Delta, in Rivers State, and of course in Nasarawa State.
All right, so Zay, you share the same thoughts with Chuks. Of course, he's asking a question that who is the INEC official, but thankfully he said it's grapevine, so it's unconfirmed just yet. So let's look at what you think about this, and then the fact that it's not just about this Plateau State. The Supreme Court is also delivering judgment in other states today.
Yeah, I think that Nigerian democracy will stand raped if the wrongs in Plateau are not corrected. What do I mean by that? You see, like Chuk said, democracy is about people voting. And when people come out to cast their vote for any candidate of their choice, and the umpire declares that candidate the winner of the election. And the loser now goes to court, and because of one influence or the other, you get a judgment depriving the voters of their choice, and the winner of that election depriving him of representing his people as a mandate given to him. I think is a raped democracy. If you look at Plateau State, the case of Plateau is a very open case. Yes, they say that as a State Assembly and the National Assembly election, the last bus stop is the appeal court. It's very regrettable, but I also think that I have listened to some lawyers, senior advocates, who have posited some points or windows where these people can get back their seats. If the 16 State Assembly members of PDP and the senators elected on the platform of the PDP and House of Representative members elect, if they are not allowed to return to their seats and represent and claim back the mandate that was given to them, I think we don't have a democracy.
Now, how they will do that is another issue.
Yeah, I have said it here that some lawyers have given instances.
And some say because it's the last...
Yeah, because it's the last... and you see a situation where the higher court, the Supreme Court, has come down, knocked these people. You see, the trajectory of the Plateau, of the appeal court panel in Plateau State gives room for, tongues to wag, gives room for suspects. We saw that it was only one panel, just one panel, that handled all the appeals in Plateau. And judgment passed in A, was passed in B, and just like that. While in other states, it was not like that. So what I mean here is that if we are going to save this, our democracy, which is fragile, we must make sure that when people come out to vote, let their votes count. If people cannot come out and vote for a candidate of their choice, and only 3 people, or how many?
Three.
Only 3 people will recast the vote of millions or thousands of people. Is that a democracy? And last week, we all came here, you see, we all applauded the the Supreme Court. For the yeoman, we said, yes, they have been, as of today, what they are going to read is a written report already. They have written the report. But we know that let them not, let them not go away from the thumbs, the praises, the hailings they got last week. Because if you look at all the 7 judgments the Supreme Court gave out last week, nobody will come out and say, I was robbed. We have followed these things. If you know where somebody won election, you know he won election. Forget about all these. For example, the APC saw it was open in Kano State that APC lost the governorship election, just as they lost the presidential election. Very open. And you are telling me that the APC won in Plateau State? Or are you saying that Bala Mohammed did not win in Kano, in Bauchi? Or are you telling me that Sanwo-Olu did not win election in Lagos State? You see, these are judgments that these people have given based on their experience, based on the law, because whatever comes out from the Supreme Court is automatically a law. So what is happening in Plateau, like the governor has appealed, it should be revisited. If let them continue to start, they are experts. They know the windows, they can, but if the APC, if those who the appeal court has given wrongly, hurtfully, hurting the other group, if they are allowed to take these seats at the various chambers of this assembly, I think our democracy has been raped.
All right. So let's go to other stories now.
There is one story that I wouldn't want us to leave here. There's one story that talked about NIMC and NCC collaborating to track kidnappers. I think it is a story that worth commending, and we also pray that they do the work and let it not be talking. Because you see, the issue of kidnapping, banditry, terrorism in this country has become worrisome. It has become as if agencies, government has been overwhelmed. Look at even at the seat of power, FCT. Killings here and there, kidnappings here and there, ransoms being... yesterday I saw a story where the federal government said crowdfunding is illegal.
It's a crime.
You see? So we have been asking this. There is NCC. I remember about 2 years ago, everybody was running mad to go and get a NIM number. About 2 years ago. The minister,
the same man.
The minister came and said, from so time to so time, if you don't, some people lost their contact. Telephone lines were cut because there was no NIM. Now, what is the work of that?
No, the same man who, sorry, the same man who...
And this is the same minister who gave the order. He is now crowdfunding. You see, so I saw the story and it caught my attention. I am very happy about it. Let us know that, yes, we have a NIM number. It is a national identification number. It should be used to reduce all this. Are you telling me that these monies that are being paid to kidnappers, does it pass through hand? Those who are also negotiating for kidnappers should be called to book.
Okay, so
we have seen a country here. We are in a country here where somebody went into the forest with police escort, with a permanent secretary of a state, a government official of a state, and they said he was going to negotiate with bandits. He talked with bandits. The video was very okay, and nothing has happened. If we allow what happened that time to continue and the way it is going now, since people have started raising funds for bandits, that means we are still going nowhere in the fight against all this insecurity.
But sorry, very quickly, we're talking about EFCC. But before talking about EFCC, let's quickly go to...
Thank you for watching. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing so you won't miss out any of our latest video.